yeah, it says that. So you can't like discreetly do it either.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Okay, audience, we are recording. We are live, as you've just figured out. That I put hit record as we were halfway through a conversation, and as I was just talking to my guest previously before I hit record, explaining that I'm not as professional as I make out I am. But anyway, enough of all that. Welcome to the Ultra Running Sam podcast, Matt Buck.
Hello, thank you
Hello.
for having me. Are,
No,
are we are we are we have we started?
yeah, I think this is the official. This is the official start. I think now,
Nice.
and I would say that I'll edit that out, but I won't.
No, no. Why would you waste your time?
No, that's it. It's still. I like to keep things, give people the real behind the scenes kind of stuff. So it's yeah, there's no pretense going on here. This is raw, unfiltered. This is just how we like to do the interviews.
How I like it.
Like Matt, this is long overdue. This episode because I've oh no, it's telling me my internet connection is unstable now. Okay, we'll go with it. If I
Yeah,
disappear,
you are breaking up a little bit.
hang on. Let me let me be
Good
even more
good start.
unprofessional. This is a great start. I'm going to pause recording and then see if the kids are messing with the Wi-Fi
Get
router.
off the Netflix.
Okay, we're back on after some technical difficulties. Yeah, I was just saying, Matt. It's this episode is long overdue. I've known you digitally for a while now, but we met actually for the first time in person um, on the spine race at which checkpoint was it? It was
108
Halls.
miles in, whatever that was.
Halls. Yeah,
Pause.
Halls.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I was
So
crying on a couch somewhere.
yeah. Yes. No, you weren't crying. You seemed like you had it together.
Inside, I was crying.
So I mentioned the spine race. So for all the listeners playing spine bingo, which I'm told that some listeners do that because I always mention the spine. There you go. You can tick spine race off 3 times
Yep,
now. Um,
done.
so I wasn't going to start there, but I suppose it seems like a natural place to start this conversation. Then, sort of, when I saw you, it was like it was morning, wasn't it? So it was morning.
You probably got a better idea than I have, to be
Yeah,
honest. Yeah, I believe it was kind of mid morning or
yeah,
something like that.
something
Yeah,
like
who knows? When you're in spine world, it's just
that's true.
it was daylight. I remember that.
Yeah, well, that could be any time between 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So
Yeah.
what had got you to? I know obviously your legs had got you to that point, but what was your sort of situation when I met you then?
So when we saw each other, I think I had not long pulled the plug with on a DNF because of an injury. I Yeah, I've been going quite well. Felt good in myself, felt pretty good, and came into the aid station, tired and sore, but like focused and ready to get an hour's sleep or 2 hours sleep and then crack on. And I remember sitting down. This was before I saw you. Just sort my kit out quickly, kind of fiddling around for 20 minutes, had some food, and then I stood up to go to one of the bunks, and it was like someone had like stabbed me in the back of the knee, left knee, and I kind of fell back into the seat, and I thought, you know, everything hurts when you're doing spine race. You don't think much of it. It's like, okay, whatever. Got up again, and it was really painful, and I kind of hobbled up to to the bunks. People that don't know, there's kind of, you have to go upstairs. It's in a youth hostel, and there's some bunk rooms. It's like a war zone basically, and you kind of find a bunk and see if you can get some sleep. And I struggled up onto a top bunk
Not
and
what
slept.
you do.
Not what you want. Yeah, a bit of extra elevation. And I slept for like an hour, and then I woke up basically in pain. And it was only then that I realized that I might actually have an injury. And yeah, I then spent 20 minutes trying to get out of this top bunk bed because everything that I tried just hurt so much. And I ended up just sort of leaping and sort of landing in a heap on the floor. Went down to the doctor. She was like, "No, this isn't good." Gave me some paracetamol, sent me back to bed for an hour. Like that was going to make a difference. Like really, no, but I appreciate the efforts to try. So I thought, give it a go. Went back to bed for an hour. Woke up in even more pain. And that was it really. And I had to make the call myself. The doctor, the doctor said that it was my decision, not hers. But doing the job that I do, which I'm sure we'll come on to at some point, and just everything like it was -15 or something up on the hills. It would just be madness to go back out again because I probably would have frozen to death if nothing else. So yeah, long story short, I then had to pull the plug and my first ever DNF. And yeah, an hour later, I think we found ourselves kind of sitting opposite each other in the little kind of lounge area. I was probably still in a bit of a daze, not really sure what was going on.
Yeah, because I was there with Tanya,
Yeah.
who who you know. Um, yeah, I think we just called in for breakfast. I think we'd been up on the Cam High Road doing some
Oh,
filming,
don't say that word.
taking photos and a bit of filming and chatting to people up there, and then decided to go and try and get some food out of the checkpoint, which is actually credit to like the checkpoints. Being on the media team was kind of like a golden ticket to get into all the checkpoints and just get
Mm,
whatever you wanted and get treated better than you get treated as a competitor. And I don't mean any disrespect to the race because I know how busy they are and stuff. But yeah, it was a nice bit of treatment of like royal treatment going in there, getting a bit of food. So we sort of had a chat and I said to you at the time, I was like, I want to arrange to kind of meet up and do a podcast and chat about, if nothing else, chat about your first DNF and injuries and coming back from injuries and everything. So what was the story after that then? What was the diagnosis that you got once you sort of managed to get yourself home and get to a doctor? What actually had you done?
so I had injured a small muscle in the back of my knee, which I can't even remember what it was now, which I should have looked it up because I would have looked clever. Um, but it was to put it really bluntly, it was a small, fairly not insignificant muscle, but the good news was it was a muscle which heals very quickly. Um, so it was a kind of case of a little bit of therapy with my physio, bit of rest, and I think I was running within 2 weeks or something. Kind of slowly and carefully, but I was running. And yeah, I wasn't actually out for that long, which almost, I don't know, in a way was kind of more annoying. You kind of, if you're DNFing from a big race, you want this kind of dramatic story, not some pathetic little muscle in the back of your knee that you don't barely need
Yeah,
to go. But
blisters can make people DNF races, can't they? And
well, this is true. This is true. But then equally on the flip side, it's I think I prefer not having the gnarly story and being back out running a kind of a couple of weeks later. So yeah, it was one of those things, it can happen to anyone at any point. As I mean, even just in that aid station, I saw people that kind of were DNFing, pulling out for various reasons. So yeah, it was going to come one day.
I'm sure, was that the same? Am I remembering it differently or a different checkpoint? I'm sure there was a guy in that checkpoint that was being carted off in an ambulance for I'm sure that was the same, unless it was
Uh,
later on.
sounds like something that would happen on the spine race. I don't know. I was a bit dazed and confused and kind
Yeah,
of self-centered at that moment, so I didn't really know what was going
yeah,
on around me.
yeah. In the spine bubble, as they call it.
Yeah,
Yeah, for however long you're there for.
yeah.
So how do you sort of feel on reflection with that now? Are you kind of do you feel like you've got unfinished business there, or are you just like not bothered?
So, so at the moment, I'm not that bothered, to be honest.
Mm,
Um, I never say never. I've done all the prep, the kind of theoretical prep that you need to do for a race like that. I've still got all the kit lists and of course the kit, all the pacing plans, all the strategies and everything. And the one thing that annoys me more than anything is the fact that I didn't kind of get to use all that kind of put into action that work that I did kind of behind the scenes, um, on top of the training itself. So that kind of niggles at me a little bit. But as far as kind of, I'm not desperate to go back. I I feel like I kind of got my spine experience. Um, there's a few things that I would change if I did go back, but I feel like I got a lot of things right and did a lot of things right. And if I hadn't have been injured, I'm still might sound a bit kind of big headed, but I'm pretty confident I would have got to the end.
mm,
So yeah, will I go back? Maybe one day. Will I be rushing back next year or even the year after? No, I'm not. I'm kind of the kind of traipsing through the dark. Although I love running in the dark, it's just I like to do races where you get that incredible scenery, like the Dragon's Back or something in the Alps or something like that. Um, and when you're in the dark, of course, it has its own challenges and it's an incredible experience. But you don't get that kind of wow moment of looking up and thinking, "Oh, look at the mountains," or look at the valleys or whatever it might be, um, which I think is what, in hindsight, I really like more than anything out of doing long distance races.
mm.
So maybe summer spine might be a good compromise. We'll see. But then equally, I'm kind of, if I'm going to go back, I'd go and do the hard one. Not to put the summer spine down because obviously that's bloody hard as well.
Hard in its own,
But
yeah,
yeah,
hard in its own
I'm
right.
I'm kind of going around in circles with my answer. I guess the answer is I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you say that about like having the views and everything that you get on big mountain races and stuff. And because I did Summer Challenger North, and one of the bits I was looking forward to seeing was seeing High Cup Nick, and
Mm,
that the view that you get as you drop down towards it, and it's that massive like dish in the landscape. I've seen pictures of it, and I thought I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And when I got to it, it was all fogged out. Couldn't see anything. Literally, a
yep,
cliff that you were running along the edge of, and that was it.
yep,
So,
yep.
so even
I
though
was
that was a
I
summer,
was so yeah, I was super excited about getting to not to bring the mood down, but the tree on Hadrian's Wall. Like genuinely, because as a big Robin Hood Prince of Thieves fan, which randomly has, or probably not randomly, has suddenly appeared on
yes,
Netflix.
yes, I know.
Funny that, isn't it?
Mm.
But yeah, I was kind of really kind of excited. Excited, maybe that's not quite the word, but I was keen to get to that point, which, as we all know, is it's not really there anymore. So that's, I don't know, broken my enthusiasm slightly.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember, I was talking to somebody about this. Like when I was running along that section and I knew that it was around there somewhere.
Mm,
Um, I saw it, and I almost just carried on running. Think, yeah, whatever, tick it off. I'm half asleep. It was in daylight, and I was like, no, I've got to actually stop and appreciate it and get a photo
yep,
of it. Sort of
yep.
went off the trail and stood back and took a really badly compositioned photo of it and took it in for what it was, and then carried on. It's quite. that section is, if you've been on along that section before, it's like up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. They're not
Mm.
particularly big climbs or anything, but they're just like absolute leg zappers. And half of me was just like, whatever, it's just another dip and a
Yeah,
tree.
the
Like,
treat. I
um,
probably would have felt that when I was there, to be honest.
yeah, especially if you like get to it in the middle of the night or something, and you're tired and you're having one of those emotionally low moments. You can
Mm.
kind of brush it off as not important, but yeah, that's the spine. Enough of the spine. We'll stop talking about the spine now. So spine bingo is over now, I'm afraid. So the question that I always ask or get around to asking eventually is your origin story. So how you got
Mm.
into trail running, ultra running. What was go back as far as you like, as much detail, as little detail as you want to give, and how did you get to where you are now in running?
So I how far do I want to go back? So I guess just a little bit kind of context at school. I was always sporty, loved football and hockey and team sports and running around in the woods and building dens and going on hikes with my family and stuff like that. So I was always very active. I was at quite an okay level at swimming, but I was always kind of, the substitute in football and um, never won any races in swimming and all this stuff. Boohoo story, but I'm sure a lot of people um, can kind of relate to that. And as someone that loved sport so much, that I guess that kind of maybe upset me a little bit deep down. Um, but I keep trying, I keep trying, keep trying, and then kind of go through life. And then, of course, uni happens and you start drinking. And I did a lot of bodyboarding when I was at uni, to an okay level again, um, but never kind of the top. And that was more just for fun. But I was always kind of keen to be outside, to be out in nature, to be out kind of trekking and things like that. Fast forward a few years, and I had a job working for a charity organizing like marathon teams and treks and cycle challenges and stuff like that. And I used to be so bored when people would call me up and say, "Oh, I'm doing the London Marathon. Can you help me with something?" I'll be like, "Oh God, boring." But it got to a point where I thought I'm going to run a marathon so that I've got a little bit of experience to help these people with their questions and things, rather than frantically Googling while they were asking me. There's dedication to the job, this was. So kind of did the usual thing that everyone does, did a 10K and then did a half marathon and probably a couple more, can't remember. And then I did the Berlin Marathon. I've got it written down here because my memory's so bad. 2008 was Berlin Marathon. That was my first marathon, and I did it in I think it was like 4:36 or something. And my only aim for the race was to run every step. That's all I cared about. Didn't care about times or anything like that. Which I managed to do. And I did a few more marathons after that, but more just because I could, I guess. I wasn't really particularly fast. I didn't really enjoy it that much, to be honest. Road running, isn't it? It's a bit dull. And so I was kind of doing that, and then got to rewind again back to when I was maybe sort of 10, 11, 12 years old. I do. I think you're a little bit younger than me, but do you remember a TV program called Trans World Sport?
Yes, I
Yes.
do.
Okay. So Saturday or Sunday morning or whatever it was at 8 a.m., I think it was, I used to get up and watch this show. And for your younger listeners, it was basically mostly just kind of crazy sports from all around the world. And it was like an hour of nonsense, basically.
Where I
Um,
first heard of kabaddi.
yeah, exactly. Weird stuff like that. And like they'd have like a, a Gaelic football section and I don't know, weird things going on. And I used to be really into it. And then I remember seeing the Marathon de Sable on there
Wow.
or something similar, but in my mind, in my memory, it was the Marathon de Sable. Um anyway, fast forward back to this kind of time when I've been doing some marathons and things. And I started remembering this kind of weird, crazy race in the desert. And I thought, I wonder what that was all about. And then I kind of did a bit of Googling and stuff, and I found out about the Marathon de Sables. And all the memories kind of came flooding back of sitting in my lounge as a kid and watching these crazy people run across a desert. And I suddenly thought, right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. But of course, I was like, but not yet. let's let's just step back a little bit. And then I started kind of ultra running. And this was 12 years ago, I think. Something like that, maybe more. When there was literally like 5 races in a year in the UK, and it's not like it is now. And I started doing these ultra races. And this is why it's relevant that I mentioned the kind of school thing, because suddenly I was the guy in the pub and people were like, oh, you're the dude that just ran 50 miles, or you just did, this race in the on the Pennine Way or whatever it was. And all my friends and stuff were like kind of giving me this confidence boost that I always wanted or needed in hindsight as a kid. Had quite low self-esteem as a kid, and suddenly I felt kind of good about myself, if that makes sense. Just from doing these races and being the weird ultra running guy. And I liked that. I liked being the weird ultra running guy. And then I started doing more and more because I liked kind of people saying that I was weird. And then it got to a point where, okay, let's do it, Marathon de Sables. And went out and did MDS in 2014. And I know it's cheesy and people laugh and probably turn off the podcast at this point, but it genuinely changed my life. It was just an incredible experience, absolutely amazing. And I came back again with this like new self-confidence. I'd achieved this amazing thing. And that's what led me to kind of starting my business, to entering harder races, to doing talks, to doing all these things. It all stemmed from doing that race and achieving that goal. I don't know if you want me to keep going.
Yeah, that's amazing that it's that you can sort of trace that story all the way back to Trans World Sport. That has brought back some memories for me.
Yeah, right.
Saturday morning. Yeah. So how old are you then? So I'm 40, I'm 43, 44 this year.
I'm 41. See, I thought you were younger than me.
I'm older than you. I've got more grey hair. You should be able to tell that.
I've got a hat on. I'm hiding it.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, and all those weird sports. Yeah, and maybe I even saw that myself as a kid. Don't know. But yeah, so that got you to where you are now. So that's kind of that was a turning point for you, seeing that and entering that race and doing it. So 2014, was that 2014?
2014. Yeah, I did MDS.
Yeah.
Yep.
Similar time to when I started ultra running. So I think I did my first ultra in 2013. I think it was. Yeah, laid about, so I'm like 10 years.
Yeah, I think I did my first ultra maybe 2 or 3 years before that, and then kind of built up towards the desert. So yeah, it was quite a journey. And like I say, it was a life-changing moment for me.
Yeah, I don't think that's like a cheesy thing to say. I think people, when you look back on your life, you can probably see points where your life took a different turn for the better, or a different, took a new angle. So that sort of gave you the self-confidence to then set up the business that you do now then. So do you want to talk about that and what it's running adventures, isn't it, or running AD?
That's right. Yeah. We'll do the plug, Running Adventures. Find it online, obviously, for people that want to have a look. So there's a little bit of a story behind that as well. So when I was preparing for Marathon de Sables, the person that actually kind of talked me into going for it is someone you might know called Susie Chan, who people know quite well if you're in this world. She doesn't live far from me, and we kind of did some ultras together and we're hanging out and stuff, and she urged me to go for it. And in the kind of lead up to doing that race, I put on just a fun free event, like a social run, trail run. Didn't really know what I was doing. I just thought it'd be a bit of a laugh, and we had like about 30 people turn up. And that kind of got me thinking. And then, so this was at a time when kind of, or at least as far as I'm aware, like guided trail runs wasn't really a thing. I'm sure somewhere someone was doing it, but it wasn't like it is now, where you can't move for companies. And this kind of all materialized when I was out in the desert and kind of thinking and stuff. And there was two things. There was one, I thought, oh well, maybe this kind of guided run type thing might work. And the other thing was the coaching side of stuff. Now, I'm not going to name any names, but a lot of the coaches that I kind of came across in the lead up to the Marathon de Sables, to be perfectly blunt and honest, they were all quite elitist and not particularly nice and encouraging people. And that kind of got me thinking about, you know, sounds like a weird thing to say, but can you be a coach and be a nice person at the same time? Like, I genuinely was like asking that question. And then when I got back and a few months went past, I kind of came up with this idea of running adventures, and I spoke to a few people who I respected in the world of ultra running. Again, I won't name any names, but people that have won massive races and are in the world. And every single one of them was like, it won't work. Don't waste your time. Don't bother. And so I nearly just kind of didn't bother. But a few people were like, no, give it a go. Give it a go. It doesn't, what's the worst that can happen? And that was 10 years ago. And now, I mean, I've been full time on it for 7 years. And to give people an idea of what the business is, so I'm a trail running coach, specialize in ultras really, but I coach anyone, any distance. That's one side of the business. I do guided runs, so all over the country, including ultras. So this is a little plug, I guess, but people that are maybe looking to do their first ultra, it's a really cool way to come and do that. Or if you're training for an ultra, then you can come and run with me for 30 miles and I'll coach you through the experience. And we have a lovely day out as a group and support each other. And I can kind of nag you to eat and drink and all the rest of it. And get the pacing right and all that sort of stuff. So that's a big part of what I do. And then we do trail weekends in places like Snowdonia and Brecon Beacons and El Chorro in Spain. And we're off to Portugal soon. We just come back from Lanzarote, and lots of other places. So that's the kind of business. It's kind of the coaching, the guided runs, and the trail weekends. And then, of course, I do technique workshops and stuff like that. But this all kind of, I was told it would never work. So I'm quite proud of the fact that we are celebrating 10 years next year. And it's, again, without sounding too big-headed, it's working quite well. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm very, very happy that I ignored the advice to not bother.
Yeah, that's it. It's a shame when people sort of try and ruin your dreams, isn't it? Everything you've sort of described, just sounds so. To a fellow ultra runner, it sounds like the perfect job. Is it a perfect job, or do you get fed up with it at times like a normal job?
No, it's a perfect job. Genuinely, it's I'm my own boss. I get to run around incredible trails every week. I get to meet so many amazing people. And I mean all this. I'm not just saying it as kind of a pitch to people that are listening. I've got amazing clients that right from podium chasing people like you had Charlotte on the
Yeah.
podcast who I coach, to people that are just trying to run their first trail 10K. So across the whole spectrum, and helping them is incredible. And yeah, it's great. I love it. And I get to go to these lovely places and work when I want to work, and pick my kids up from school and take them to school and spend time with them. And so yeah, it is the perfect job.
Yeah.
You were
How long?
hoping I was going to say no, it's actually really rubbish, weren't you?
No, I wanted you to say that it was a perfect job. Because all the while, all the cogs in my mind are all turning, thinking, this sounds like something I want to do for myself. And I do a bit of coaching on the side. I've got like a proper day job, like a 9 to 5 job. So
A real job.
well, coaching is a real job. But at the minute, it's something I do sort of, in the evenings and weekends, and it's something I wish I could do more of. And I know, when you start talking about the guided runs and stuff, during lockdown, I actually set up like a little group of social runners called the Free Social Trail Run, and we used to go all over the Peak District and do stuff. But it kind of, once races opened up again, it kind of died a death, but only because I kind of let it die a death a little bit. It's still a Facebook page and stuff, and there's still a few people that use it and stuff. But do you feel that appetite is still there for people to sort of sign up for? Because I mean, people are still the same, aren't they? Regardless of whether we're out of lockdown now, obviously, but people are still the same. They want to try something for the first time, and they're a bit apprehensive about going on their own. Do you feel that there's still that big market there of people who want to do that?
Yeah, and I think lockdown was really good for my business. Like, obviously awful that it happened, but a lot of people, as we all know, took up running during lockdown, and I think that's kind of helped the sport, like this ultra running, trail running. It's as bigger than it's ever been at the moment. I would argue, with things like UTMB, and the Golden Trail series, and getting attention from the media. And like, my phone doesn't stop ringing the week after UTMB, and a lot of it is people that have never done any trail running, and they've seen something like that, and they've just been totally inspired by what they've seen, and they want to give it a go. And that's what it's all about for me, is getting people out into the trails. And so, like, the appetite is definitely there, more than ever, I would say. At the moment, we're getting massive turnouts for the runs, and loads of first timers. I always ask the question every run that I do: is this the first time for anyone? First trail run, first night run, whatever it might be. And always kind of at least half the hands go up. And that's what I like to see, because that's what I get a buzz out of, is kind of chatting to those people and showing them how enjoyable running trails is, and how exciting it is. Like, we did a night run the other night, and I think almost all of the people were kind of first time night runners for sure, and a lot of them were first time trail runners. And like, to see them, they were absolutely buzzing. And like, I'm a spoiled trail runner, like, because I get to go to lots of lovely places, and I'll be honest, I take it for granted a little bit around kind of my local area, like a lot of us do. I live in Guildford in Surrey, and we've got amazing trails here, and I do enjoy them. But of course, on your doorstep, you kind of sometimes forget to appreciate it. So when I see these people that have never done trail running before, and they're like, wow, like, oh, was that an owl? Was that a deer I just saw? And they're really excited by everything that's happening. It kind of brings it all back, and you get that kind of that energy off them, and it's just amazing to see. And people go away, and then I get an email the next day from someone, be like, oh, that was so much fun, thank you so much. So yeah, it's really big at the moment, I think, and long may it continue. But we don't want it too big, because we don't want the trails too busy, do we?
That is true. There's plenty of trails out there for everyone.
Yeah, of course.
So what on the sort of like on a weekly basis then? What does the Running Adventures often you talk about like the weekends away in the big
Mm.
adventures abroad and stuff. So are you sort of staying local to you for these social runs, or are you going further afield from you, going to different places? I know Charlotte said that the one that she signed up for was obviously on the Isle of Wight.
Mm.
Is that sort of the norm that you'd go into far flung places, or is it sort of staying closer to home?
Yeah, so the kind of a lot of the runs are in the Guildford, Surrey area, Box Hill, places like that. Because obviously that's where I live. Makes sense. But I do go a bit further afield, like the Isle of Wight, for example, Jurassic Coast, a lot into Wales, been to the peaks a lot. So I do kind of try and get out to different places. I'm also conscious of stepping on other people's toes, like other businesses and things, because there's a lot of guided run companies out there now, and um, I don't want to, turn up on someone's doorstep and with a massive group, because I probably wouldn't appreciate it if someone did that, on my trails. So I'm always mindful of that. But yeah, we do try and go out a little bit further afield and find some nice trails for people. And I'm every week I get requests for weird and wonderful places. Why don't you do a run here? Why don't you do a run there? Well, there's only one of me. I can I can only be in so many places at once. Um, but yeah. So in answer to your question, most of it is around the Surrey area, but we do go to some more exotic places sometimes.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. It sounds like the perfect job to me.
It is
Um,
good. It is good.
so what I've got to ask you about as well before we were recording, I was saying how professional you are with your mic and everything, and how unprofessional I am. And you've got your own podcast, haven't you? Tell me about your podcast.
Which podcast are you asking me about?
The musical one.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I did have a running one briefly, but that was a lockdown kind of project. Stronger for Trails, if anyone wants to look at that. But yes, I do have a music podcast. Didn't expect this to come up in this chat. You've caught me off guard. It is called Embarrassingly So, and it is a bit tongue in cheek. It's called the Emo Dad Podcast, and we chat all things kind of alternative music, like kind of punk and hardcore and stuff like that. And we interview guests from the scene, and we deep dive into bands and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun. We set it up in lockdown, me and a mate, and it kind of got a little bit out of control. And we celebrated 100 episodes recently, and it's still going strong. And we've chatted to so many of our heroes from the music world. I'm a big music fan, obviously, and yeah, it's great. You get to chat to all these amazing people and become friends with people. Like I've become friends with all my heroes, which is a bit weird. Like the kind of WhatsApping me and stuff. normally for running advice randomly, but yeah, it's cool. It's good fun.
Yeah. So because I know all this, I purposely wore my Sub Pop t-shirt.
Oh, lovely stuff. Lovely stuff.
So I mean, yeah, you're in good company. I sort of grew up in the same era as you. Like my musical heroes were, I was fully in a grunge phase in the 90s. I grew up with all the, going to see like Soundgarden and never got to see Nirvana. But I got to see all the bands that I wanted to see
Nice.
sort of in the early 90s and mid 90s and stuff. So it's yeah. So when I saw you that you got your emo dad podcast, I thought I've got to ask you about it because it's something that's close to my heart. So I think how you just sort of describe how you become friends with the people you interview, and that's I found that with this podcast, like getting phone numbers of not everybody I interview wants to give you their phone number, but occasionally there's a few and there's people that I sort of exchange chats about running, and the people that you sort of kind of see, you hold them up a little bit on a pedestal as like you sort
Mm.
of running heroes, and then when you talk to them and have a conversation with them, they almost become like an acquaintance or a friend, and then you can have that interaction with them just as like because they're just normal people, the same as everybody else.
Absolutely.
They're
Yeah,
not
exactly.
anything. They're not these weird creatures from another planet. They're just people, aren't they?
Yep.
What's your highlight from doing that podcast then? Because I noticed that I was flicking through the page and I saw that you went to see a band. Did you go to New York to see rival schools?
No, I wish I did. I saw rival schools in London.
Oh, well,
There was a bit of confusion. I can't remember what it was, but I think I posted something about the London show, and someone thought it was the New York show and commented, and it got a bit confusing. But yeah, we go to lots of shows, and like I say, it's always nice to kind of become friendly with these people that you as a kid used to just watch and like um idolize on stages and stuff.
we,
It's
we
good
probably
fun.
we probably crossed paths at festivals. I
Yep.
religiously went to Reading and Leeds every
So
year.
did I.
I'm
7 years
like,
in a row, I think I did. Starting in 1998. In the
that's
good old
probably it's
days.
probably about the same sort of. I think when did I go to? I think I went to Reading. It was probably would have been 97, 98. Can't for the life of me remember any of the bands. But like continued going to Red. It was more Leeds because Leeds, because I'm in Derby, so
Mm.
Leeds was closest. But sometimes because if there was like a band on, obviously if people that don't know like Red and Leeds, they swap the bands swap over on the nights over the same weekend. So if there was a band that you really wanted to see but that it didn't work for you, what day you wanted to go or something, you could go. So we often like got a day ticket for Reading and a day ticket for Leeds, so we could see the band.
Nice. Yeah. Smart.
We travel around. It was busy weekends if we did that, or just go to Leeds and go for the whole weekend. But yeah, got some fond memories of seeing.
Yeah, good times. I probably don't want to talk about what I got up to at these festivals. It was good fun though.
Yeah. Back in the day when I was young and reckless, and now I'm
Exactly.
all grown up and a family man, and my kids don't know anything about all those things that I did. Fortunately, although I
And
did
that is how we'll keep it.
I did actually let slip to my because I've got a 11-year-old, no, 12-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old daughter, and we were joking about like how old my oldest is, Tilly, and I was saying, oh yeah, when I was your age, no, when I was your age, I was doing this, that, and the other, and then when I was 15, I brought my first pint in the pub, and they're like,
No, yeah.
that's illegal, Daddy. You can't buy a pint when you're 15. You have to be 18. It's like not back in the 90s.
Not if you knew what the right pub to go to was.
Yeah, we're mates with the barman.
Yeah, how times have changed, right?
Yes, yeah, everything is a lot more, yeah, as it should be. Yeah, no underage drink. Yeah,
Do
anyway.
not try this at home.
Anyway, back to running.
Yeah.
What are the over the years? You obviously you sort of been here, there, and everywhere doing races. What's sort of been your highlights as far as ultras that you've done, or any bad experiences, any good experiences you've had over the years?
Oh, I've had a lot of good and bad experiences. I mean, the one that always stands out to me is Dragon's Back. As ticking both those boxes very much so as an amazing experience and a horrendous experience, all at the same time. I did that in 2017. Um, and I thought Marathon De Sables was hard, but this was another level. It's just relentless, that race, and I did it with a good friend of mine. We were together the whole way, which was amazing. Um, Statistically, one of us shouldn't have made it, but we both did, and it was insane and but amazing. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying about spine race. Like Dragon's Back, it doesn't matter how exhausted you are, how you feel sick, you haven't slept, and all the rest of it, and you're sunburnt and you're getting hammered by the wind, and you're just in bits. But then you just look up and at the scenery, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And that for me is enough to kind of keep going. Um, so that was an amazing experience, and one that I'll never forget. But yeah, I've done ultras all over, kind of in the Alps, classic. Haven't done UTMB. If one asks if I've done UTMB, haven't. Nope. Probably never will, because I don't agree with how it's all run and put together. But we won't go there. I've done week-long races in places like Sri Lanka and the Alps and Scotland, and I did a good one actually, which I really enjoyed. I'm just looking at my list in front of me. Doesn't exist anymore. But called the Five Islands Ultra, which was on the Channel Islands, and we circumnavigated every island over 3 days, and that was really cool because you kind of um planes and not helicopters. No, we weren't that posh. Planes and boats and things to get to each kind of island, and that was a really fun one to do. I really enjoyed that. Sadly, they stopped doing it because I think it was a logistical nightmare.
Yeah,
But
but it was.
it was good. It was good.
That's more an adventure race than yeah. I can't imagine that financially that a race like that could exist.
No, I don't think the race director made any money. I think he might have lost quite a lot of money. So I wasn't surprised when he said we're not doing this again. But it was really good, really cool.
Great
Um,
idea.
but yeah, I just love like exploring weird and wonderful places. Like I've been back to the desert a few, not to do Marathon de Sables again, but to do other races there. Um, and the Alps is, everyone knows about the Alps, how incredible they are. And going to places like the jungle in Sri Lanka and stuff like that is just really cool. And I think this, the being able to do these races is a real privilege, and it's a great way to explore the world. And I don't travel for races as much as I used to, but before I had kids or they kind of grew up a little bit, it was a great way to kind of go and explore new places. Really loved it.
Amazing. So it's the travel sort of, is that because of having the family, or is that just for reasons that you don't want to travel for ethical reasons or anything, or is it just that it's difficult to travel when you got a family into it?
Well, for me, it's more a case of like I travel a lot for my job. Um, I run a lot for my job. I'm very lucky um, that I get to go to these amazing places, taking groups and leading groups. So to then kind of justify going away for a week or something to do a race on top of all the travel and running that I already do, it's not that my family would ever stop me, because they don't, and they're very supportive, but it's me that's stopping me. I just can't justify it, and I'd almost rather go somewhere with some mates and do like a few days trail running, exploring, or a little challenge that we've created ourselves than do a race, because I can do it kind of at a time that suits me, or when the kids are in school and whatever, and it doesn't disrupt the family too much. So if some of the big races could just change their dates to suit me, that would be really nice. But until that happens, I enjoy just going out and exploring myself. And one of the great things about my job is, I love going with the groups and helping people and supporting people, but the recce's are good fun, because normally get a mate or two dragged into it, and we go off somewhere nice and have a few days just running around checking routes and stuff, which is always a nice time, because you can kind of, it's a bit of a holiday vibe, but at the same time you're working, so I can justify it.
Yeah. You've got me convinced now that I need to change my job.
Yeah, yeah, do it. Trust me, it's
Am I
great.
far enough away from you that I wouldn't be stepping on your toes?
Yeah, no, you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I like the whole vibe of, you can still be a good dad because you dropping the kids off at school and then you go and doing your job which you love. Yeah, because that's, for me to do what I love, which is running as well. I have to get up early
Yeah.
and be out the house when the kids don't know that I'm out the house, basically. But I suppose
Mm.
with your job, you can it is your job, so you can be out and you can still be a good dad and be there for them, can't you?
Yeah, I've got like I try and do my running during the school day when they're at school, and my long runs and stuff. And there's a few people in the area who may or may not listen to this. I don't know, they're probably bored of hearing me on our runs, but we even though they do have very good jobs, they because they're able to run during the day on a weekday, we kind of call ourselves trail bums, who who kind of act like they're unemployed and just kind of bum around running on trails on a Tuesday morning or whatever it might be. So that's nice to be able to do that, and then try and when I'm not working on a weekend, I'll very rarely kind of go out and run, because those weekends are quite rare. So tend to try and use them to look after the kids and take the pressure off my poor wife.
I suppose the miles just look after themselves in the week, then don't you? You're not stressing about if you're training for something, you're not thinking, oh, I've got to go out, I've got to go out, got to do it back to back this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I always have a good base fitness, and then I can, like spine, for example, I have a good base fitness. So when I was preparing for that, it was just adding, like bolting a few extra bits on, um, to kind of get me to the level to try and do that race. So I'm quite lucky in that respect, and I'll also selfishly organize all the guided runs so that it suits my training plan, and because I can. So I'll do like back to back long runs, but with groups, so that then I'm working but also getting my miles in at the same time. So it works perfectly.
Got it all figured out, haven't you?
Yeah, mate. It's it took me a little while, but I got there in the end.
Yeah. Okay. After the show, I will be asking for notes on that. Awesome. Sort of finally, then you've got a relationship with Salomon. Then how did that
Yes.
sort of start? What kind of support do they give to you?
So I am a Salomon ambassador, and oh God, how long has it been? It was Dragon's back year, so 6 years, 7 years next year. I've been on the Salomon team, and it's quite a funny story actually how it started. It was a bit different then. It wasn't quite so organized. Actually, God, I hope I don't get into trouble for saying this. But it was this chap who was in charge of all the Salomon stuff in the UK. He emailed me out of the blue one day. He's a man of few words, lovely guy, but a man of few words, and he basically just asked me for my shoe size and clothing size with no explanation as to why. And so I thought, okay, we'll just roll with it. So I replied, and then for the next 6 months, pretty much every other week, a box of kit would turn up at my house. I mean, this is the dream, right? Um, and the shoes were great, but the problem with the clothes was I was sponsored by another brand at the time, and so they were just kind of piling up all this kit, and there was never any explanation or email or letter or anything. Um, so it kind of building up, and then one day the chap called me up out the blue and was said, "Oh, we need a coach for this weekend. Can you get down to Bristol?" Um, so I was like, "Yeah, okay, fine." So off I went, and that was that really. I'd been there about 5 minutes, and they said that they wanted to sponsor me exclusively, which didn't take a lot of thinking about, and that was it. And then I was officially on the Salomon team with the best wishes of my previous sponsor, so that was good. I didn't upset them either. Um, and yeah, been on the team ever since, and it's they're fantastic. They are super supportive of both me and Running Adventures. I do lots of coaching for them, and workshops and events and guided runs and everything else. And yeah, genuinely, I think they're fantastic, and the kit is great. I mean, everyone knows Salomon kit is great, and if you disagree with me, then fair play. It's probably not for everyone, but I'm sure most people won't disagree that it's good kit, and I'm very fortunate and grateful that I get to be on the team. And it's amazing team as well, a team of people that we're all super supportive of each other. The WhatsApp chat is just constant, but in a good way. And everyone's got their businesses and their challenges and their races and their problems in life, and we support each other through thick and thin. So yeah, it's really good, and really kind of grateful for every day that they keep me on the team, because I know one day they'll boot me off for some reason. I'm sure my time will come at some point, but I'm very happy to still be associated with Salomon at the moment.
Yeah, amazing. Meanwhile, keep taking the free stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Just keep piling it up while I can.
Amazing. That's so cool. So do they kind of have you managed to get out to? Do they get you to go to like Golden Trail or anything like that? They offered anything like that? Because
Yeah,
they
the
are they did start. Salomon started the Golden Trail, didn't they?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, we are encouraged to go to as many of the UK races as we can. It's not always possible for everyone because we've all got different challenges and races in our diaries and stuff, but try and get to at least one a year, and sometimes more. And again, it's just a good excuse to catch up and um, see all the guys and girls, and have a laugh out on the trails and stuff. So yeah, we try and get to as many as we can.
Yeah, it's great. There's that great community with a team, isn't there? That you're all sort of from different backgrounds, but you're all sort of working towards the same goal of
Absolutely.
making a brand, a great brand, even better. Yeah, yeah. I always
Yeah.
my only little peeve with them is that they're always a bit. The shoes are a bit narrow for me. I think I've probably worn ouches for too long. I got
Yeah, I get that a lot from people. I mean, they do wide sizes now,
yes,
little plug.
yeah, yeah.
And some of the shoes are wider than they used to be. Um, but yeah, each their own, right? Like some people, a lot of people wouldn't live without Salomon, but equally a lot of people wouldn't go near it. So
Mm,
um, there's always something for everyone. But
yeah.
that's normally the reason to put people off that we hear quite a lot.
But great brand either way.
Oh, Hobbit feet, that's the problem.
You've seen my feet. Yeah, and Hobbit in size as well, me. Um, so appreciate you coming on and chatting. Where do you want to sort of direct people then to look at everything you do? Is go on the Running Adventures website or your Instagram? Anything? Where do you want to send people?
Yeah, all of the above. Website is runadventures.uk. There's all the events for the rest of this year and next year on there already. Check out the trail weekends, check out the guided runs. If you want to be coached, then drop me a message on Instagram. You can find me. Run Adventures is running ADV. Someone had already stolen Running Adventures, which is a dormant account, which really annoys me. Nothing
Annoying.
happens. And my personal Instagram is running_Bucky. So yeah, if you want coaching, I think I've got one place available at the moment. So um, drop me a message. First one in gets it.
Amazing. Oh, I really appreciate you coming on, Matt, and having a chat. And apologies it's taken so long for us actually to get get this done.
No problem.
Cheers.
No, it's been great to chat, and appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Well, hopefully I'll see you again soon in the flesh if that's possible.
Yes, that'd be good. Not
Excellent.
when I'm crying on a couch next time.
Don't mention the spine again.
No, not
Cheers,
yet. Too
mate.
soon.
Too soon. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye bye bye.